Okay, it looks like we're live. And it is super windy out. Wow, my computer doesn't blow away. So anyway, it's episode 123 of Time Out Tuesday. And the topic for today I titled Where There's a Will, There's a Way. You know, many of us have experienced having to do all kinds of things in different ways than we've ever had to do them before over the last couple of months, ranging from, you know, how we teach our kids, how our kids are learning, how we're doing our own work, how we're doing stuff around the house without being able to run out to the store real quick, you know, improvising, adapting. A lot of people report that they're doing a lot more cooking, baking. That's resulted in strange shortages, like a shortage of yeast and bread flour of all things. But we're all adapting and trying out different ways. And obviously that's no different than the challenge that are associated with teaching something like martial arts. You know, it's not an easy thing to teach somebody martial arts when you're not in the same room with them, where you can't make sure that their exact angle, their exact footwork, everything is, always very, considered to be, about precision in the martial arts. And certainly historically it has not been taught through Zoom. I mean, that's a no-brainer. There's always been video lessons, and I've watched videos and learned from videos. It's not that it's not possible, but on a long-term basis, on a regular basis, it's something that has been really actually in the past frowned upon, and only now because of necessity. Necessity is the mother of invention, and this is the way to learn martial arts now, to continue your progress. But when we switched over to doing the Zoom classes, it was very important to me that we didn't just buy time, that we didn't just try to keep people at an even playing field so that they're no worse when they get back. That was not what I wanted to do at all. I wanted to get people back into classes quickly, get them used to doing the Zoom classes, and then I wanted to figure out, by analyzing our curriculum and analyzing the problems associated with learning in this virtual environment, how we can progress students forward. I want better students when we get back to the dojo, not students that are just maintaining a status quo. That's not the goal. That should not be the goal of a teacher. It shouldn't be the goal of a student. It's certainly not my goal. So I've had to, along with other instructors, of course, look at all of our curriculum and try to figure out different ways and different strategies and creative methods of teaching things when, number one, we weren't in the same room with them, but number two, we couldn't even demonstrate on them physically to show them how something looks, show them how something feels, show them the way to grab a wrist by grabbing their wrist, for example. And interestingly, over the last few weeks, as I've been online and speaking online with other martial arts instructors that own other schools around the country, around the world actually, one of the common denominators, if you will, that I've heard from these instructors is that while they wouldn't have chosen this over teaching in the classes, because that's, what we really love, almost unanimously, everybody has said, and myself included, that we've become much better martial artists as a result of it, because we've really been forced to delve deeply into what we know, how we learned it originally. Is there a different or even sometimes a better way to learn it, a way to convey the information that is different from the way that we were used to, and it really causes us to disassemble and reassemble things. One of my students last night, and one of the reasons why I'm actually talking about this today, during our class, it was our teens and adults class, and one of our students, she's a green belt, a high-ranking student. In our system, green is right before brown. I was going around the room asking each student if there was anything in particular they really felt that they were struggling with because of being in the virtual environment now. And several students said that they were having trouble learning their new kata. Some people said that they needed to brush up on some older requirements so that they were ready for their next test. And there was nothing particularly alarming, except there was one category of learning which we had really not touched on over the last 8 weeks. And the reason for that was that it's a very hands-on thing. It's what we refer to as locking or tuite jitsu, wrist locking or hand grabbing techniques. And because a few students had said that that was the thing that they were most lacking for the last couple of weeks, I had a decision to make. One was, well, let's forego it for now and we'll revisit it when we have a better opportunity, or challenge accepted. And I always go for challenge accepted. So what we did is we spent some time with that group and we went over a whole bunch of different ways that we can practice these techniques without having a partner. We looked around our homes for things that we can use as an alternative to using another partner's hand. And it didn't really take us very long to come up with a pretty good mechanism for practicing the first 3 out of 10 of these techniques. And now I'm very optimistic that not only will we have a mechanism for teaching these and learning them, especially for students that are learning them for the first time, but I do believe that some of the things that we learned and the way that we're going to adapt this training is going to cause them to be much stronger when we emerge out of this. And in fact, I even told them that when they do get their hands on each other for the first time, we're going to have to be a little careful with each other, because these new mechanisms that we're using are aggressive, and we were able to apply a lot of strength, in fact more strength than we can apply when we're working with a partner and we're looking out for our partner's safety and well-being. So as I've mentioned before, there are unintended consequences about events like this in our lives, and if we're careful and we look around and we're observant and we're optimistic and willing to adapt and not willing to say it's not the way it was always done, so therefore we can't do it differently, we're going to emerge as stronger beings. And I look forward to that. I look forward to that for my students and their families. And that's it for Time Out Tuesday today. Those are my thoughts for today. We continue the theme of adapting. We have another parent night out, or we can now call it a kids night in, coming up in a couple of weeks. It was a lot of fun the first time. I think the kids are really going to like this next one. I think it's going to really hit them where they're interested. So I'm excited about that. Continue to be excited about the size of our classes. And the one other thing that I will mention, because it's worth it, my students are challenging me in a really major way, because I'm being asked to teach more and more things, because their level of learning actually has, I think, increased, because I think they're attending more classes now than they were before. And so they're moving through things very quickly, and then they say, okay, now I want to learn this next thing. And there's some things that they're pulling out that I haven't even taught for the last 8 weeks in this virtual environment. And while I wish I could say that I practice every single thing every single day, I really haven't had an opportunity to do that. So they're forcing me to brush up on all my techniques as well. So my students are making me a better teacher, and I hope that I'm making them better students. And that's what the name of the game is. And that's it for Time Out Tuesday today. So if you like the stuff that you hear here, I always love it when there's some, hearts and likes and stuff fluttering across the screen. Definitely comment below. I like to hear what people say about these videos. I've been doing them for 123 weeks, and I have no intention of stopping. Hope everyone enjoys the beautiful weather we're having today, and I will see everybody at the virtual dojo today. Peace.